My mom told me this story from when she was in her 20s, and honestly, it still sounds unreal. Back then, she had just opened her small pharmacy in a busy part of the city. It was her first real business. She worked long hours, handled everything herself, and barely had time to breathe, let alone deal with unnecessary problems. And then the phone calls started. At first, it was just one or two. Hey, is this dispatch? I'm calling about my delivery schedule. Where should I bring the shipment? My mom would pause, confused every single time. No, this is a pharmacy. She thought people were just dialing wrong numbers. It happens, right? But then it kept happening. Again, and again, and again. Within days, it turned into 15 to 20 calls daily. Truck drivers, dispatch workers, warehouse staff, all asking about deliveries, routes, pickups, cargo instructions. None of it had anything to do with her. The problem? Turns out her pharmacy number and a trucking company in another city had almost identical phone numbers. The only difference? The area code. But here's the catch. This was right when phone systems were switching from operator-based calls to automated dialing. So if someone dialed just the 7-digit number, the call didn't go where it should. It went straight to her pharmacy. At first, she was nice. For the first few days, my mom stayed polite. Every single time someone called, she'd explain, "You're trying to reach a trucking company. You need to include the area code." Some people apologized. Some didn't even listen. Some called back again, making the same mistake. She kept helping anyway, because that's just who she was. Then she called them. After a week of non-stop interruptions, she finally decided to fix the problem properly. She called the trucking company directly. A man answered. "Yeah, this is dispatch." My mom explained everything calmly. "Hi, I run a pharmacy. Your customers and drivers keep calling me by mistake. There seems to be an issue with the phone system." There was a pause. Then the man sighed. "Yeah, that's not my problem." My mom blinked. "I understand it's a system issue," she said, still calm. "But maybe you can inform your drivers to dial the full number. It's becoming disruptive for my business."
His tone changed.
Sharp. Dismissive. "Look, I'm not going to go around telling people how to dial a phone." She tightened her grip on the receiver. "I've been redirecting your calls all week. It's affecting my work." He laughed. Then stopped answering them. That was the moment something shifted. The line he shouldn't have crossed. My mom took a breath. "If this keeps happening, it might affect your operations too."
He scoffed.
"You? Affect my business?" Then he added, almost mockingly, "Go ahead. Try." And he hung up. The change. That was the last time my mom tried to be helpful. The next call came 10 minutes later. "Hey, I'm heading to a pickup location. Can you confirm the address?" My mom leaned back in her chair. For the first time, she didn't correct them. Instead, she calmly said, "That order was canceled. You should return." Silence. "Wait, really?"
"Yes."
"You'll just waste fuel if you go." "All right, thanks for letting me know."
Click.
She didn't smile. She didn't celebrate. But she didn't feel bad either. Because for the first time all week, the problem wasn't hers anymore. And that was just the beginning. Over the next few days, every wrong number became an opportunity. A driver with a flat tire? Turned back. Delivery postponed. Someone asking for drop-off confirmation? Warehouse rejected the shipment. A dispatcher checking schedules? Everything's delayed indefinitely. At first, it felt small, almost harmless. But what my mom didn't realize was that her quiet responses were about to cause a chain reaction much bigger than she expected. She thought she was just getting even for a rude phone call. But within a week, deliveries started disappearing, clients began pulling contracts, and then one day, she picked up the phone and heard a voice she never expected. "Hello, this is the mayor's office." By the third day, something started to feel different. At first, the calls kept coming just like before. Same confusion, same rushed voices, same misplaced urgency.
But now,
my mom wasn't fixing anything anymore. She was redirecting outcomes. The first signs of damage. It started subtly. A driver called early in the morning. "Hey, I'm loaded and ready. Just confirming, should I head to the Kingston site?" My mom didn't hesitate.
no.
That delivery's been postponed. Return to base and wait for further instructions. There was a pause. You sure? This one seemed urgent. Her voice stayed calm. If it was urgent, they would have called you directly. Turn back. All right, thanks.
Click.
She placed the receiver down slowly, and for a second she just sat there. Because this time, it didn't feel like a small correction. It felt like a decision that mattered. Then things escalated. Over the next few days, the pattern repeated, but the stakes kept getting higher. One call turned into 10. 10 turned into 20. And each time, she gave them just enough information to sound believable but wrong enough to disrupt everything. A driver called about a multi-stop delivery route. She changed the order. Another asked about a time-sensitive shipment. She told him it had already been handled. A dispatcher called to verify a large contract delivery.
She said,
That client canceled this morning. Didn't they inform you? The man on the other end went silent.
No.
Well, now you know.
Click.
The twist she didn't expect. By the end of the week, something unusual happened. The calls started sounding different. Not confused anymore. Now they sounded tense, frustrated, even angry. Why does everything keep changing last minute? I just drove 4 hours for nothing. Who keeps updating these orders? My mom noticed it immediately. This wasn't random anymore. This was system-wide chaos. And that's when she realized something important. The trucking company hadn't fixed anything. They hadn't warned their drivers. They hadn't updated their system. They had done absolutely nothing. Which meant one thing. Everything falling apart was still coming through her phone. The moment she crossed the line. Late one afternoon, she got a call that felt different. The voice was older, more controlled. Hello. I'm calling regarding a shipment scheduled for municipal distribution. My mom sat up slightly. Municipal? Yes, she replied carefully. We're expecting a delivery of equipment later today. Can you confirm the arrival time?
She paused.
This wasn't a random driver. This was someone important. She could feel it. For a moment, just a moment, she considered telling the truth, explaining everything, ending it right there. But then she remembered the man's voice from earlier that week. I don't care. Not my problem. Try. Her tone turned cold. That shipment has been delayed. A pause. Delayed? By how long? Indefinitely. That's not possible. This delivery was approved at the highest level. She didn't flinch. Then you should call the right number next time. Silence. Heavy silence. Then the man spoke again, slower this time. Who exactly am I speaking to? My mom didn't hold back. Someone who's been cleaning up your mess all week. And before he could respond, she hung up. The fallout begins. That night, something changed. For the first time in days. The phone didn't ring as much. The next morning, even quieter. By afternoon, almost nothing. At first, my mom thought, maybe it's over. Maybe they finally fixed it. But then the phone rang. One call. Just one. She picked it up. Hello. The voice on the other end was calm.
Too calm.
Good afternoon. This is the city administration office. My mom froze. We'd like to clarify something, the voice continued. There seems to be a major disruption in multiple deliveries linked to your number. Her grip tightened. I think you have the wrong. No, the man interrupted gently. I don't think we do. The pressure turns real. He continued. Several shipments have been delayed, canceled, or redirected over the past week. Each word landed heavier than the last. These include private contracts, commercial goods, and municipal supplies. My mom's heart started to race. And every single instruction, he added, was traced back to this phone line. Silence filled the room. For the first time since this started, she felt something she hadn't allowed herself to feel before. Not anger, not frustration, but consequences. But then, another twist. The man's tone softened slightly. We're not calling to accuse you. That caught her off guard. We're trying to understand what happened. She didn't respond. Then he said something unexpected. Because according to our information, you're not the trucking company. My mom blinked. What? We ran a trace, he continued. This number belongs to a pharmacy. Now the silence felt different. not threatening, curious. And yet, he added, you've been giving operational instructions for an entire logistics network. My mom slowly leaned back in her chair. For a moment, she almost laughed. Because when he said it like that, it sounded insane. The truth almost comes out. She opened her mouth, ready to explain everything. The wrong numbers, the rude owner, the week of non-stop interruptions. But before she could speak, the man said something that stopped her cold. We've already spoken to the trucking company. Her heart skipped. And they claim,
He paused.
that someone has been impersonating their dispatch. Now the situation had changed completely. My mom thought this was just a small revenge.
But now?
She wasn't just dealing with a rude business owner anymore. She was being linked to something much bigger. Something official. Something serious. And just before the call ended, the man said one final thing. If this continues, we may have to take formal action. The next time the phone rang, it wouldn't be a confused driver. It would be someone asking a very simple question. Did you do this on purpose? My mom didn't hang up immediately. For a few seconds after the man from the city office finished speaking, she just held the phone, silent, thinking, because everything had just changed. Up until now, this was simple. Annoying calls, a rude business owner, a quiet way to get even.
But now?
There was an official trail. People were tracking this, tracing calls, asking questions. And worst of all, the trucking company had already spoken. The first real fear. The man on the phone waited. Are you still there? My mom swallowed. Yes. Good, he said calmly. Then I'll ask you directly. A pause. Did you knowingly give instructions related to shipments that were not yours? There it was.
Clear. Direct.
No confusion anymore. My mom looked around her small pharmacy. The shelves. The counter. The quiet space she had built from nothing. And suddenly, it didn't feel separate from the problem anymore. It felt connected. The answer that changed everything. She could have lied. She could have said, no, I just answered calls. I told them they had the wrong number. I didn't do anything.
But something in her didn't want to sound weak.
Didn't want to sound like she had no control. So instead, she chose her words carefully. I answered the calls I received. Not a lie, but not the full truth either. The man on the other end didn't respond immediately, which made it worse. Then he said, that's not what I asked. Pressure builds. He continued, steady and controlled. We have multiple reports of drivers receiving instructions from this number. My mom's fingers tightened around the receiver. Instructions that resulted in delays, cancellations, and financial loss. Each word felt heavier now. And based on timing, he added, these instructions were not random. That hit differently, because he was right. They weren't random. The turning point. My mom took a breath. This time, she didn't dodge it. They called me first. Silence. They kept calling, she continued. All day. Every day. I told them they had the wrong number. Her voice stayed calm, but firmer now. I even contacted the company responsible. Now the man was listening. Really listening. And what did they say? He asked. My mom's expression hardened. They said it wasn't their problem. Another pause. But this one felt different. Less accusatory. More understanding. The narrative shifts. So, the man said slowly, you were receiving operational calls not meant for you. Yes. You attempted to correct the issue. Yes. And the responsible party refused to act. My mom didn't hesitate. Yes. For the first time since the call started, the pressure eased slightly. Because now, this wasn't just about what she did. It was about why she did it. But then, a new problem. The man exhaled quietly. I understand your frustration. That surprised her. But, he continued, that does not justify interfering with logistics operations. There it was again. Consequences. Do you realize the scale of disruption this caused? My mom didn't answer, because now she wasn't sure. The truth hits. He didn't wait for her response. We're talking about delayed commercial goods, missed contractual deadlines, a pause, and a halted municipal supply chain. Her stomach dropped. Municipal. Again. This wasn't just business anymore. This was bigger than she thought. The unexpected lifeline. But then, the man said something that changed everything again. However, there is something else. My mom frowned slightly. The trucking company, he continued, has a record of repeated complaints. Now she sat up. They've ignored multiple system issues, failed to update communication protocols, and refused to address known errors. My mom's eyes narrowed. So this isn't new? She asked. No, he replied. It isn't. The power shift begins. For the first time since this whole situation started, my mom wasn't on the defensive anymore. She leaned back in her chair, thinking differently now, because suddenly, this wasn't just about her actions. It was about their negligence. And then, the offer. The man's voice lowered slightly. Off the record, my mom didn't move. If what you're saying is accurate.
A pause.
Then they may be facing a much larger issue than a few delayed shipments. Now her heart started beating faster, but not from fear, from realization, because she finally understood something. She wasn't the only one who could cause damage. The final twist of the call. We'll be reviewing this situation further, the man said. Until then, he paused. I suggest you stop giving any further instructions. That part was clear. But then he added one last sentence. And if they contact you again, a slight pause. Document everything. Click. Silence and a new idea. The line went dead. My mom slowly placed the receiver down. The pharmacy was quiet again. Peaceful. Normal. But she wasn't thinking about peace anymore. She was thinking about leverage. Because now she knew. The trucking company ignored the problem. They had a history of doing this, and now someone official was watching. Which meant one thing. This wasn't over. Not even close. And right on time, the phone rang again. My mom stared at it for a second, then picked it up. This time, the voice wasn't confused. It was angry. Hey, what the hell is going on over there? She recognized it instantly. The same man, the trucking company owner. I'm losing drivers, deliveries are failing, clients are pulling out. He stopped, then said something slower, more controlled. What did you do? My mom didn't answer immediately, because now, she wasn't reacting anymore. She was deciding. He thought she was just a small problem he could ignore. But now, his entire business was starting to collapse, and the only person who knew exactly why
Was the one he dismissed.
And in the next moment, she finally spoke, not to defend herself, not to explain, but to make him an offer. Maybe, she said quietly. Now we can talk properly. Edit. What did you do? My mom almost smiled, not because she was happy, but because for the first time since this started, he sounded exactly like the people who had been calling her all week.
Confused.
Frustrated. Out of control. The silence that changed everything. She didn't answer right away. And that silence? It hit him harder than anything she could have said. Hello, he snapped. I know it's you. Still nothing. Listen, his tone shifted slightly. If this is some kind of joke. It's not a joke.
Her voice was calm,
Steady. Controlled. And that's when the dynamic flipped completely. From dismissal to dependence. He exhaled sharply. Then explain what's going on. My mom leaned back in her chair. No, she said quietly. I don't think I will. A pause. What? You didn't care when I explained before, she continued. You said it wasn't your problem. His breathing got heavier. This is different. She didn't miss a beat.
No.
It's exactly the same. The truth he didn't want to hear. For a moment, he didn't respond. And when he finally did, his voice had changed. Less aggressive. More careful. How bad is it? That question said everything. My mom glanced at the silent phone beside her. For the first time in days, it wasn't ringing nonstop. That depends, she said. On what? On how long you ignored it. Silence. Because now he knew. This didn't happen overnight. This was a build-up. A chain reaction. And he had let it happen. The pressure cracks him. Look, he said, trying to stay in control. I don't have time for this. I just need to fix it. My mom's voice stayed calm. And now you think I do? Another pause. Then, finally, He said the one thing he had refused to say before. What do you want? The moment of power. That question changed everything. Because now, he wasn't dismissing her. He wasn't ignoring her. He was asking. My mom didn't rush her answer. She let the silence sit for a second longer. Just enough to make him feel it. You're going to inform every single driver, she said slowly, to use the correct number. Full area code. No exceptions. Done. He answered too quickly. And, she continued, you're going to update your dispatch system. That'll take time. That's not my problem. Silence. Fine. But she wasn't finished. My mom's tone didn't change. You're also going to compensate me. That one hit him. Hard. Compensate you? For what? She didn't hesitate. For a week of handling your operations. That's ridiculous. Is it? She leaned forward slightly. I have records of every call. That wasn't entirely true, but it didn't need to be. I also spoke to someone from the city office today. Now the line went completely silent. Because that part? That was real. The shift to fear. You did what? They're already aware of the situation, she said calmly. And they're very interested in how it happened. His breathing changed again. Slower now. Heavier. Because suddenly, this wasn't just about lost deliveries anymore. This was about accountability. The final push. You ignored a known issue, she continued. You refused to fix it. No response. And now it's affecting contracts, clients, and city operations. Still nothing. My mom let the silence stretch, then said the one thing that locked everything into place. I can either help you fix this, a pause, or I can explain everything to them. Checkmate. It wasn't a threat, not directly, but he understood it perfectly, because now, he needed her more than she needed him. What kind of compensation? He asked quietly. And just like that, the man who once said, I don't care, was now negotiating. The deal. They spoke for the next few minutes. No shouting. No arrogance. Just controlled, careful conversation. He agreed to immediately notify all drivers, fix internal dialing instructions, update dispatch protocols, and pay her a settlement for the disruption. Not because he wanted to, but because he had no choice. The end, or so it seemed. After the call ended, the pharmacy felt quiet again. But this time it felt different. Not like the calm before a problem, but like the calm after control had been taken back. The phone barely rang that day, and when it did, wrong number stopped. Just like that. A week of chaos, gone. But one last thing. That evening, right before closing, the phone rang again. My mom almost ignored it, but something told her to pick up. Hello. A familiar voice answered. Good evening. This is the city administration office again. Her expression shifted slightly. We just wanted to follow up. A pause. It seems the issue has been resolved. My mom didn't say anything. Then he added. Interestingly, very quickly. The final realization. She understood what he meant. This wasn't luck. This wasn't coincidence. This was pressure. And he knew it. We'll be closing the matter, he said calmly. Then, after a brief pause, he added one last line. But if anything like this happens again, her grip tightened slightly. We'll know exactly where to look. Click. My mom thought everything was finally over. The calls had stopped. The problem was fixed. And she had even walked away with something in return. But what she didn't realize was, she had just put herself on someone's radar. Because sometimes, when you prove how much control you have, people don't forget it. And a few days later, someone new would call. Not by mistake. Not confused. But with a very specific reason. Hi, I heard you're the one who can fix problems. For a few days, everything was quiet. No wrong numbers. No confused drivers. No angry voices asking for directions or updates. The pharmacy finally felt like it used to. Simple. Peaceful. Normal. My mom went back to her routine, filling prescriptions, talking to customers, running her small business the way she always had. And slowly, that entire situation started to feel like something distant, almost unreal, until the phone rang again. It was late afternoon. The kind of quiet hour where nothing unexpected usually happens. The phone rang once. My mom glanced at it. For a brief second, she considered letting it go. But something instinctive told her, "Pick it up." "Hello." There was no confusion this time. No hesitation. The voice on the other end was calm.
Direct.
"Hi. I hope I'm calling the right person." My mom frowned slightly. "Who is this?" "I was given your number," the man said. "Told you might be able to help with a situation." Her expression didn't change, but inside, something clicked. This wasn't a mistake. "Help with what?" she asked carefully. A short pause. "With a communication issue." That word again. Communication. But this didn't sound like an accident. This sounded intentional. The reputation begins. "I run a distribution company," the man continued. "And we've been dealing with a competitor who keeps interfering with our operations." My mom didn't respond. She just listened. "We've tried fixing it professionally," he added, "but nothing seems to work." A pause. "Then someone mentioned you." Now she leaned back slightly. "Mention me how?" The man hesitated for just a moment. "They said," he replied slowly, "you handled a similar situation recently." There it was. Not a mistake. Not a coincidence. A story had spread. The moment of realization. My mom felt something shift again. Not pressure this time. Not frustration. But awareness. Because now, this wasn't just about what happened. It was about what people thought she could do. A dangerous line. "I think you've misunderstood," she said calmly. "I don't get involved in that kind of thing." The man didn't push. Didn't argue. But he did say one thing. "I'm not asking you to do anything wrong." A pause. "Just help us understand how to handle it." That sounded better. Safer. But still, it didn't sit right. The choice. My mom looked around her pharmacy again. The same shelves. The same counter. The same life she had built. And she asked herself something simple. Was that weak? A one-time reaction? Or the beginning of something else? The decision that defined everything. She took a breath, then said,
No. Clear. Direct.
"Final. I think it's better if you handle your situation properly." The man was quiet for a second. Then he said, "Fair enough." No anger. No pressure. Just acceptance. And before he hung up, he added one last line. "If you ever change your mind, people will pay for that kind of clarity."
Click.
Back to silence. The line went dead. And just like that, it was over. No drama. No escalation. No consequences waiting around the corner. Just a choice. What she learned that week taught her something she never expected. Not about phones. Not about business. But about control. How easily it can shift. How quickly it can grow. And how dangerous it becomes when people realize you have it. Full circle. After that, the phone never rang like that again. No wrong numbers. No strange requests. No unexpected opportunities. Just normal calls. Normal life. Exactly how she wanted it. But every now and then, when the phone rang unexpectedly, she'd pause for just a second longer before answering. Because a small part of her always wondered, is this just another call? Or the start of something else? All it took was one mistake, one ignored warning, and 1 week of quiet decisions to turn an ordinary person into someone people thought could control everything. And the scariest part? She proved them right.